Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Howington, and I am a student or a future graduate from Piedmont College for my education specialist. And over the course of the past year and a half, I have transformed into similar to a sandcastle. So if you think a sandcastle and if you think as if you are packing your bags and you're getting ready to go to the beach, I want you to place yourself as in that situation, and I'm going to relate it on how I transformed as an educator. I became motivated and a productive learner when I'm working on issues or problems without fear of failure. According to I found in my teacher perspective that my fear of failure has been the biggest adversity that I've overcome with student engagement and not expecting perfection. My highest As I interpreted my graph, my highest domain was the nurturing, and I found that with that, a lot of times I expect perfection, and rather I've learned that expecting perfection doesn't make excuse. It makes excuses for my learners in my classroom as well as myself. So I began to focus on creating an environment that builds trust and collaboration, but that is pivotal that my actions and that my motivation with my planning enhances student success with that. So my second highest domain was apprenticeship, which fits with my growth and my focus on student engagement in the classroom. And I am better able to self-assess myself and teach my and model for my students to self-assess if I become more competent with my instructional planning. According to my philosophy on education and transformation is that it's an ongoing process. An environment where transformation occurs has learners engaged and passionate because myself or the educator's pedagogy is changing the way that they see or handle and view an environment based upon the current research-based practices. And my post-teacher self-efficacy supports this transformation with student engagement and particularly instructional strategies. My strategies have switched from rather the learner's point of view than mine. So I focus my planning on effective questioning and processes rather than the activity or the product or the outcome that I'm expecting my students to do. And putting my focus on question and process changes the way that we see or handle or view our environment in the classroom and also as a school. The biggest thing with this is that allowing that struggle to happen. So with my self-efficacy scale, my highest domain was the instructional strategies, which was interesting because this allowing struggle time has shown myself and my student that engagement piece has picked up, even though it can be messy and kind of like not what you expect because they see me serving. They don't see me as the answer key. They see themselves as going through the process and being able to problem solve, and that I'm there along beside them and not there to tell them if they're right or wrong. It's become an adventure rather than let's get from point A to point B. My goals for this program was focus on to use the existing schools technology or enhancement to enhance student engagement. So similar to the beach, you already have what's there. You already have your sand, you already have the water. So using what you have and then building upon that. So building upon what I have, what my school has given me, I'll provide my students with quality, differentiated, flexible small group instruction in reading, writing, and math on a daily basis. And this covers TEAC standards 2, 4, and 8. So as we collect our things to go to the beach, this is our pathway to beginning, similar to your path down to the beach. This is my path down to my specialist program with Piedmont College. I'm unpacking my bags, which is like the TEAC standards. We're unpacking our standards and assessing what we need to make a successful, sturdy sandcastle. The first thing, if we unpack our bags, similar to the foundations of education. During the experience I had with Piedmont College, and especially in the curriculum class, I was able to incorporate the curriculum skills that I learned from the textbooks, and then also the presentation with my groups and presenting the information that we discussed and the political nature of roles and responsibilities of stakeholders. So the context which must be considered when planning my curriculum helped me with grade level content meetings. Through the different peer-reviewed articles that we used in our curriculum class, it supported my reflection and understanding of how to evaluate reflections and research and to better serve my teaching practices. Our grade level meetings have this time has allowed for me to bring the research base that I've learned to share with our data team to ensure that our practices we use with our students are beneficial, but also to ensure that the students understand why they're learning. When students understand the purpose in a friendly language, I have found that they're more engaged and eager to participate and to learn. So we have our foundation, and now we are ready to begin to build the sandcastle. And as we build the sandcastle, this is similar in my transformation with the research that I found that examines and leads to improve student achievement. After the courses, I have a greater understanding of the current research in my field and can adjust my skills as an educator based on my knowledge. So not just considering, oh, I did that last year and continuing to do it because that's what's comfortable, but adjusting what I know based on the new knowledge. This approach has an educational planning within information that is supported by data. So being aware of the knowledge, of the cognitive knowledge, physical, emotional, social, cultural, and environmental and economic factors in my classroom, using all of those, I have found that from surveys help me to understand, student-led surveys, confirm my understanding of the communicational skills within my classroom. And lastly, as we are building our sandcastle or building our field-based research that examines and leads to student improvement, is the revision of the curriculum's current allotment and the connection to the climate and the student achievement that has. So I've shared with our leadership team the research that I found and discussed new ideas and solutions, specifically focusing on technology, how to cut it, and what to cut and what to keep based on student engagement within my classroom and our grade level. The research and the student surveys and the budget all help with student engagement in our school, both just within my four walls in my classroom and also other classrooms as I collaborate and present within my school to share what I found with research and using the surveys on a larger scale with budget. And we all know that when we're at the beach, we face adversity, similar to when the waves come over and they crash your sandcastle, and your sandcastle sometimes is all washed away and sometimes a little bit is left. So as I learned, my adversity is the waves, and my personal and professional philosophy and pedagogy has changed through the courses that I've taken with Piedmont College. This year was challenging. I made the decision to switch schools, and the county adopted a new reading program, which was implemented this school year. And I have found myself in having many waves crash over, but the biggest one is like the environment, being able to have being flexible to modify the needs based on the data and feedback to promote learning for both myself and students. I learned this through trial and error and trainings, and also accumulation of what I've learned in each course. I was better able to design, implement, and evaluate the curriculum with the new program that we adopted that promotes student learning. It sounds like a mouthful, but truthfully, I found it was easier to design and implement and value when I was in the learning. So not serving as that answer key and not serving but more of as a facilitator. Both for my students and myself, I allowed the messiness to happen and for it to be okay. Working at a new school, I learned to create learning communities that incorporate advanced knowledge of cultural and linguistic contexts. of learning by assessing the communication process through problems and roadblocks, sometimes also through trial and error. And lastly is another adversity that helped me become a better teacher is the assessment, the way that I assessed and academic learning, how it must begin with motivation and inspiration. So I found that worked best through rubrics and just simply asking the kids, are they ready to be assessed? This is what is expected. Are they ready through this? Using rubrics for them to self-assess themselves and teaching them what a rubric is and how a rubric works. Help accustom them to their instruction and also to differentiate by readiness and structure and the support that students need. I believe that it's my responsibility to provide a more authentic view of our student growth and abilities. A combination of authentic and standardized assessment give us a broader and more accurate picture of student growth and achievement. And as we know that the waves wash away, it's time for us to shape our castle. I believe that through education, the shaping of the castle is developing expertise in content, inquiry styles involving classroom practices and management. As we shape our castle, the biggest thing that I found that was most helpful for me is to believe and foster that mindset that change starts with me and that all students have genius. That it's not just some students in our class, but all of my students have genius. And giving the students choice on when to take their assessments, both their pre and post, allowing choice on to take it online or on paper through assessment as I evaluate, giving them that ownership. So do you want to take it on paper? Would you like to take it online? Are you ready for it? Another way that in kindergarten, a lot of our assessments are done one-on-one, and I allow students to record themselves and take their assessment on a Nearpod or in Google Classroom, and this allows for them to have ownership that is not just me serving as the answer key, that we're creating that relationship that knowing that they believing them and that believing in themselves that they have genius. And the data, being intentional with the notes that I take and then using those notes to move forward through both formative assessments and summative assessments. When I create and interpret the qualitative data and quantitative data, the two research classes showed me a combination of authentic and standardized assessments can give us a broader and more accurate picture of growth and achievement, not only in our class, but on a school level. Having a bigger picture lens, as you could quote, through kindergarten through fifth grade with data has been a push this year within my new school, and also to help with student engagement with reading. So we have bulletin boards that help support our data and hold us accountable as teachers and as students, and then it showed on a bigger picture so students can really see that kindergarten through fifth grade are all focusing on the student engagement with reading. And this has helped students and teachers and grade levels have an intentional focus of setting their time aside daily to read stories, to listen to stories, as well as holding students accountable at home for them to track the data when they come to school the next day, if they read at home, and just being more intentional with our practices inside the classroom. One way I do this is by having the students keep a log. They have one at school and they mark it. They come in every day. And then we also mark it as a class weekly. And I turn that into a percentage, which is then taken and put on our bulletin board as a school. Collaborating with the two curriculum coaches or instructors to discuss and continue ongoing learning and craft have become very important for me. I've really relied heavily on them this school year to use our coaches to achieve my goals and supporting and using our school's existing technology to enhance student engagement. Thank you for coming to my presentation. I hope that I know that I have enriched my teaching perspective and instructions by taking this program, and I believe that education is a different and unique experience for all students. And in order for my students to benefit from what I have to offer as their teacher, I think that I must fully understand the importance of my job. Through this program, I've been able to provide a quality education to my students. I have and will facilitate for children to obtain tools necessary in life. My students are engaged and are not thrown off by the term assessment and understanding the why to the task. So here's to a life of building more sandcastles.